On November 17, 2013 at the Dubai Air Show, Emirates had signed a deal with Boeing for what would be by far the largest airplane order in US history, which comprised of 150 Boeing 777X aircraft valued at $76 billion. Airplanes are very expensive machines mainly because of their high levels of complexity, and for example, if an airline or firm wants to purchase brand new Airbus A320neo airplanes from Airbus, they'll have to shell out at least $110 million per airplane. But of course, the airline or the firm will likely receive a steep discount from Airbus if they buy many airplanes. Airplane purchases are usually multi-year contracts whereby airlines, firms or governments place orders for airplanes and they later on receive their new jets at the agreed time with their manufacturers, who in our case may be Airbus, Boeing, Embraer, among others. So, what happens whenever airlines, firms or governments buy new airplanes, and what are the various ways through which they can acquire the new planes? Let's find out. Before we even find out how airlines buy airplanes, first we need to consider which factors they look at before buying the planes. First, we have the upfront expenses, which are inclusive of pilot and cabin crew training, maintenance, etc. For example, taking an airline like Southwest Airlines, which is an all Boeing 737 airline, it will make sense if they purchase the newer Boeing 737 MAX instead of the Airbus A320neo, because it will simply be cheaper for them to buy airplanes which their cabin crew, pilots and maintenance personnel are already accustomed to. Secondly, the airline must also consider the general performance of the airplane it wants to purchase. Newer planes are often more fuel efficient, easier to maintain, have better range and payload capability, etc., and it would make sense for an airline to buy the new Boeing 787 as a replacement for its older Boeing 767 fleet. Other factors airlines may consider are the cargo capacity of the planes, their pricing, their level of passenger comfort, etc. Having taken into consideration all the previously mentioned factors, an airline will then be able to determine which type of airplane will be suitable for its present and its future needs. What follows afterwards will be the financing. Remember, I said airplanes are very expensive and airlines must first ensure they can be in a position to finance the purchase of the planes they want. Usually, whenever airlines place orders for airplanes, they must first make a prepayment. This gesture normally shows the airline's commitment to acquire the planes. The remaining amount will then be fully paid once the plane has been built and officially handed over to the airline during the handout ceremony.
On the morning before Boeing delivers an airplane, the final contracts are signed and the airline makes the final payment.
Everything comes together here on delivery day. The customers are expecting everything to be accounted for.
The last formalities before the ceremonial keys are handed over to the proud CEO of Ethiopian Airlines.
It's a very good airplane. It's a very comfortable configuration that we chose.
Direct purchasing of airplanes gives airlines ownership rights for the planes as well as giving it more assets. A good example of this pertains to Saudi Arabian Airlines, which recently signed a $3 billion agreement with 6 banks to finance the purchase of 73 airplanes from Airbus and Boeing. Since direct purchasing of airplanes is very expensive, only few airlines can afford this, and therefore, most airlines do lease airplanes from leasing firms. In order to understand how airplane leasing works, we need to be familiar with two terms which are the lessor and the lessee. The lessor is usually the firm which grants or leases airplanes, while the lessee is the airline which holds the lease. The lessors usually buy airplanes from the manufacturers and lease them to the airlines. Some common lease firms include GECAS, Avalon, Airlease Corporation, among others. Airplane leases are usually multi-year contracts whereby the lessor and the lessee both agree and set a period of time which the lessee will use the planes. Upon the expiry of the contract, the lessee can either choose to return the planes back to the lessor or renew its contract with the lessor once again. There are 3 types of aircraft leases, which are dry lease, wet lease, and damp lease. In dry lease, the lessee or the airline provides the cabin crew, pilots, maintenance, and insurance of the plane. The lessor only provides the aircraft and the lessee takes full responsibility of the airplane. In a wet lease agreement, also referred to as ACME to mean aircraft, crew, maintenance, and insurance, the lessor or the leasing firm provides the aircraft, crew, pilots' maintenance and insurance to the airline. Lastly, we have the damp lease, which is the same as a wet lease, only that the lessor doesn't provide the cabin crew, as that becomes the responsibility of the airline. Leasing airplanes may have some advantages whereby it enables an airline to save money in the long run, since the airline pays for the planes in the course of its lease period as opposed to paying the full amount when buying planes from the manufacturer. Also, leasing enables airlines to be able to expand their fleets in a short period of time. However, leasing has its own drawbacks in that the airline has less control over the quality of airplanes it receives, and also, leasing does not guarantee an airline the supply of airplanes it needs. At times, you may hear airlines cancelling their orders for airplanes. This may be due to unfortunate circumstances. For example, whenever an airline files for bankruptcy, they may have no choice but to cancel their existing airplane orders. Whenever this happens, the airline usually pays a penalty to Airbus or Boeing. A good example of this pertains to Norwegian Airlines, who recently reached an agreement with Airbus to cancel its outstanding aircraft orders for 88 Airbus A321 aircraft. Airbus will keep the prepayments Norwegian made when they were initially purchasing the planes, and also, the airline will still pay $850,000 as penalty for cancelling their orders. All in all, aircraft purchasing is a very complicated process, and you should always appreciate how hard airlines try to make the most out of whatever airplane fleets they have at their disposal. And that's it for this video. I do hope you have learned something new. Thank you very much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more great aviation content. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time and have a nice time ahead, and please take care. Goodbye.